Have you ever tried photographing your comic book slabs, trading cards, rare coins, or other collectibles, only to get results like this? Well, the good news is that's about to change because I was challenged by my friend Wade over at Austin Books and Comics to create something that would allow any of their employees to shoot stunning photos of slabs of all sizes, quickly, efficiently, and most importantly, without any special photography or lighting skills. And guess what? I figured it out, and the best part is it's super simple to build and super cheap to make. So let's head over to the workbench and get to it. The reason this happens is because slabs are made of a really shiny plastic which bounce light right back into your lens, causing that nasty glare. Sometimes you even catch your own reflection in the photo. But don't worry, this is an easy fix. We're gonna use a little bit of science in today's build in order to solve this problem. Now, to get rid of the glare, what we're gonna have to do is change the angle of the light so it bounces away from us. We also don't want to see our reflection in the slab, which is caused by the ambient light bouncing off of us onto the slab and then back at us. And we don't want that either. To avoid this, we can shoot from behind a barrier. This will both block our reflections, and any light bouncing off the slab will hit the barrier too. And if we make that barrier black, it'll absorb all the light and reflect nothing back onto the slab. I'll put links in the description below for anything that you might need for this build. First of all, because we're making basically a photo light box, we're gonna need some lights. So I got these cheap under cabinet lights. These seem like they'll work, check it out. Ooh, yeah, they're nice and bright. Notice that they're frosted. That's gonna diffuse the light, make it a lot softer, and not be so harsh and reflect off the plastic. I've got this plastic banker's box. Now I went with this for a couple reasons. One, the sides are more vertical rather than sort of slanted the way that a storage bin is. This is gonna give us a bigger size bottom of the box where we can fit larger objects like the comics, maybe even some magazine slabs and other large items. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason was this one came with a black lid. We want the lid to be black because that's gonna absorb any light that's reflecting off of our slab, and that's gonna prevent reflections from bouncing back onto the glossy plastic. Now, if you only have a bin laying around that does not have a black top, don't worry about it. You can either spray paint it, you can put some black fabric, or cut out a piece of black foam core. There's a bunch of ways to work around it. Don't run out and get a bin just because you want one with a black lid. You can always make a black lid. I got one with clear frosted sides because I wanted to also diffuse the light a little bit more. Now, in order to see into this bin, we're gonna need to cut a hole in the lid. So for that, I have this 2-inch hole saw. This is the perfect size to fit the iPhone lens because I want to be able to just lay the iPhone on there, have it showing up on the screen, and tap whenever I want to take photos. Now, if you're not using an iPhone or another sort of smartphone camera and you're using an actual camera, you're gonna wanna measure the size of the lens and cut a hole that's the same size on the top. Now, don't worry if you don't have a hole saw kit because you can use something else like a Dremel. You can even probably just use a utility knife and cut the hole out. So just be careful when you're cutting that. You don't wanna crack the lid of this and ruin the whole lid. Now, for the bottom of the bin, we don't want it to be clear and showing whatever's underneath, so I have a piece of white foam core, and this is gonna allow me to just put this at the bottom and it'll be a nice background for our slabs. Now, some of these actually come in white on one side and black on the other. If you can get that, I highly recommend it because if you are photographing an object that is lighter in color, you might want a contrasting background, so you can flip this piece over and have the black background, or you can flip it and have the white. But yeah, I think that covers everything, so let's get building. Before we drill the hole in this lid, I wanna give you some tips on drilling into plastic so that you don't crack the lid. Number one is we're gonna use a piece of sacrificial wood as a backing board. This is just any piece of scrap wood that you can put under the workpiece, so when you drill through it, you're not drilling into the table, but also releasing all that pressure into the workpiece and then cracking it. A lot of times if you're doing this with wood, it'll prevent blowout, but with plastic, it will prevent cracking. I'm actually gonna flip the lid upside down because there's a little bit of a curve to it, and I want this to lay as flat as possible on the wood. And now I'll be using the little plastic, there's a little piece of flashing on here. You can see where they molded this. This is the center point of the whole thing, so I'm gonna use that as my guide for drilling through, and it's on both sides. Now I have 2 tips for when you're drilling into plastic. Number 1, go very slowly. If you go too fast, you could crack the plastic. Number 2, run the drill in reverse. I know it sounds counterintuitive, you wanna be drilling into something, but when you are drilling into plastic, if you go in reverse, you're less likely to actually crack the material. Oh yeah, look at that. That is a nice, neat hole with no cracking. All 3 of the iPhone lenses fit perfectly in that circle. So if you need to zoom in for a smaller object or zoom out for a bigger one, you're gonna be able to use every single lens on the iPhone. Now the dimensions inside the box are about 11 by 14. It's a little bit bigger, but there's these plastic nubs that stick out, so I'm going for something that'll fit inside there. I'm not worried about it shifting around or being a perfect fit because again, it's laying flat. There's gonna be the slab on top of it. It's just to have a background. Next, we have to figure out where to place these lights in order to get the best image possible. So now to do that, I'm just gonna take my phone here. I'm actually recording. Check it out. This is what the studio looks like in case you were wondering. It's a complete mess, but it's the state it's in right now. So I'm gonna place the phone right on top of the bin here. You can see our slab without any light. Doesn't look great. So let's go ahead and turn this light on. If I move it up and down, you can kind of see how it's affecting our slab. If I go too low, the front of it's completely in shadow. It's very silhouetted. That's not gonna work. If I go high up and I'm too close to the bin, we're getting a reflection of the light. We're getting this nasty glare along the edge of the slab, which means I want to pull it a little bit further away, and let's angle it down so we're getting a nice, soft, even light. Somewhere around there looks pretty good. The only issue is we're getting shadow on the opposite side. When we get this other light on, it'll cancel out that shadow and we get a nice, even image. But there is a major problem. When they shipped these lights, it only came with one power supply. It's got these little ports on the front. They expect you to daisy chain them together with this tiny little cord, which is not wide enough to reach both of our lights in the spot where we're gonna need them. Now they did include 2 extra little pieces that are sort of pre-cut here, so maybe we can splice them together. This is all I have to work with in order to figure out a way to connect these lights, which I think maybe it'll be long enough. Yeah, it should, but I'm gonna have to Frankenstein something together out of this that is safe and works. So that's a challenge. The other challenge is how the heck are we gonna get these lights to just float up next to this? I wanna make this thing fully contained. I don't want people to have to be setting up little mini tripods to get the lighting right. So my only thought is that there needs to be some sort of chassis going across the top of this that will connect to the lights. We can even attach it to the lid maybe. At this point, I don't really know. I'm gonna have to scrounge around the shop and see what materials I have or head to the big box store. Once I figure that out, I'll be back and we'll get to building. All right, I'm back and I think I've figured it out. I found a small little strip of aluminum or aluminium if you're from the UK. And what I'm thinking we're gonna do with this is first we're gonna cut it in half. I can put one in the back, one in the front. We'll take apart the frame of the light and I'll put some bolts in through the back so we can hang the lights. Now the lights won't be at the right angle, but once we get everything assembled, we can easily bend the aluminum and get these lights dialed in to where they're hitting the slab perfectly. Now originally I had these cardboard corner guards and I was gonna build a test version of it, but who's got the time? Let's just jump into this. Step 1, we're gonna cut this aluminum. So this bar is 4 feet, so we're gonna cut it right down the old center there. I think we can just kinda, there we go, it's just aluminum. Next up, we are gonna take these apart and hopefully not break it, because these are the only ones that we have. By the way, if you're doing stuff with screws, nuts, bolts, get yourself one of these. They're super cheap. Keeps you from losing everything. The best part is it's magnetized. They're not going anywhere. I'm gonna slide out the diffuser there. So that's what we're looking at. Unfortunately, these LED strips are right in the center where I wanted to put those holes. Ooh, or could we use the original holes that hold this all together? Wait, that might work. Ooh, yeah, they're pretty close. Now the only thing is we'd have to drill through the plastic in these covers and that is pretty close to the edge, so I don't think I want to do that. Might compromise this clip part, so I think I'm just going to put them on the outside here on this metal frame. Now the question is, do we need 1 or 2? How many do we have? 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's exactly enough, but then we don't have enough to attach it to the lid, keep it in place. Assuming I have stuff laying around here, I've got jars of nuts and bolts around, there's gotta be something to attach these to the lid. Okay, see that right there? That's perfect. Now that we have all the holes drawn in our lights, we need to make corresponding holes in the aluminum bars. The other thing you wanna be sure to do, because these are all gonna be different, is make sure you label which holes line up with which holes. A, B, C, D. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and feed these through. Needs a little encouragement. Good. I will say the one nice thing about putting two in here is that you won't get that pivot. If there was one, this would kind of swivel back and forth. It'd be kind of, you know, movable to be you can make it into a rhombus, you could bend it and move it. So if that's actually a feature you want, only use one of these bolts. But if you want to have it rigid and firm and in place, use two. I'm gonna use two. And I'm just gonna hand tighten these for now. Guess what? Even though I labeled them, that's A and that's C. Can we rewind and start over? We'll go. And we're back. Okay, let's do this totally for the first time. We've never done this before. This is the first time we're connecting side A to side A for the first time. Guess what? Even though I had this, I am missing a nut. Now I didn't actually count these, so I'm only assuming all 8 were in there. I don't know where the other one went. Could be on the floor, which is covered in glitter flakes, so that's gonna make it hard to find. Or maybe I brushed it into the trash. So trash digging montage? I don't know. This could be Home Depot trolling me and it was never even in there. All right, now we have our frame assembled. There's our little gimpy Nemo one with the missing nut. Don't worry, we'll get that fixed before we bring this to Wade. Now, I didn't find a spare nut, but what I did find was these. They're little spare feet for pieces of furniture. I have 2 of them that have corresponding nuts, and it happens to fit. So, rather than use these giant bolts that are also gold and shiny, I want to use these black ones because if we put these inside the box, there's no chance of it reflecting off of those back onto our slab. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting any little glimmers of light reflecting off of these. So I'm going to be using these. I went ahead and marked the center point. Now I just need to line this up to the lid and cut matching holes. I want these little black nubs on the inside, again, to prevent any light from bouncing off. It's actually turning out a lot better than I thought it was gonna, if I'm being honest. Look at that. Boom. Now we've got to, ooh, whoa, I forgot we still need to figure out, will this actually reach? Oh, I don't know. We might have to get some extra wire here. Guess what? Found this lying around. This is some lamp wire. Now, this is 18 gauge. Whereas this is 20, but it's close enough for government work, but there's only 2 wires and we need 3. So I'm gonna cut an extra piece and split it down the middle. That way we'll have 3 to connect these things together, and it's going to work and it's gonna be great. But I'm not comfortable teaching electricity because I don't know enough about it. I know enough to not get myself electrocuted, but not enough to teach you how to do it. So I'm gonna skip this step and jump to this little jumper cable. Are you ready? See what I did there? Jump and jump. All right, let's jump to it.
A few moments later.
What I ended up doing here, I wired up everything together and then I used some heat shrink tubing, make everything safe, and I buttoned it up with some zip ties, ran it along these supports here and then to the other side. I put some extra wire in there just in case, so that's why there's these little loops here. I wanted to make sure I had enough. And then over here is where our actual power comes in. And really quick, I want to just show you how much cleaner these photos turn out. This thing is amazing. We've got our comic in there. We've got our lights on each side. We're getting some even lighting. Check this out. That is a nice clean photo with no glares or hot spots. There's no reflections. We can just go ahead and snap that photo. Boom, I'm gonna post that so you can check it out. What I love about this build was how simple and cheap it was. Let's run through the numbers real quick. The bin itself, that was 10 bucks. These lights were about $15 for the pair. That's for both of them. The aluminum bar was another $10. And then for the little bits and bobs like the zip ties, nuts, and wiring, let's just overestimate that as another 10 bucks. I had those laying around, but you're looking at under $50 for an amazing photo box for taking pictures of anything reflective like comic book slabs, trading cards, collective coins, even non-reflective items will work great in this box. Now let's deliver this thing to Austin and see what Wade thinks. How's the comic business? How's everything going over there in Austin?
It's going well. It's been crazy. All kinds of new stuff coming out, and old stuff is still flying off the shelf.
Cool. So, well, yeah, and you tasked me with finding out a way to photograph the slabs so that you wouldn't get that nasty glare. So tell me, is it working out pretty well for what you guys needed, like in terms of the graded slabs and cutting down the reflection, or?
Certainly is. We were looking for something fairly quick and inexpensive.
That's like our bread and butter. Is anything inexpensive?
So the big thing with us is that we're trying to be more present on social media, and we're also trying to have a more of an e-commerce omni-channel, as they would call it in the industry, presence. And with that, obviously, comes photography. And they had tried and failed with buying bigger light boxes, lighting rigs, this, that, and the other thing. And it's not that those were bad; they're actually very good. The problem with it is that we have limited space where we are moving things from one space to another. We buy these massive collections. We don't have enough room. Yeah, if you want to set up a studio and it stays in the same spot, awesome. That's great. And you can do that easily, but that's not our world. We're constantly shifting and moving. And we're looking for something, especially right now, that was just a little bit more inexpensive, but was portable. I guess it's a lot better than a lot of the lighting things that are out there. There are other light boxes that are out there. Yes, you can spend a lot of money but for this one, the price was right. It is movable and it's durable. I can tell you that as well. Things have been dropped. It's been dropped. Things have been dropped on it. It's been kicked. And really, by and large, not really any problems. So,
cool. Now, after using it for a while, do you got any tips for the audience that can make it better for the version 2.0? Like what now after using it a bunch would you change about it or improve?
probably there's two things. Number one would be that there's a slit of some sort on the design that I don't have to pop the lid to put something.
Oh, yeah, like we cut a hole in like the front of it so you can literally just put the book in and out.
Yeah. I don't know how that would affect the reflective and
it shouldn't, as long as it's on that front, it shouldn't matter because the light's getting diffused from the side. So yeah, you could easily cut like a little glory hole in the front there to slide it in and out.
Yeah, that would be a little bit easier. Having something, I don't know exactly what that would be, but having something fastened to the top for your phone to set in, or kind of, because the phone can wobble a little bit.
Yeah, because the top's kind of curved. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal, but it's a little bit of a quality of life thing. If you're really taking a lot of pictures, if you're taking 10, 20 at a time, not a big deal.
Yeah, but yeah, moving the phone, even if you nudge it a little bit, you're constantly readjusting it, especially if you're taking the lid off and doing it multiple times.
Glue a phone case to the top. I don't know.
Yeah, or a magnet, like the MagSafe case. If there's a magnet, yeah, then the phone will just stick to the lid. Cool. Those are some great pointers and upgrades. So yeah, people at home, take note. Where can people see the glorious photos that you took with the photo box and all the wonderful treasures you're finding?
Well, austinbooks.com has a lot of them. And that's changing all the time. Maybe not as fast as we always wanted to, but it is time. You can follow us on social media, which is like our Instagram is Austin Books Comics, all one word. That our Instagram and Facebook have the majority of it, and we're pretty active on those. We also have a TikTok, Discord, all of that kind of stuff. We're just not as active as you know. It takes a little more work to make videos for TikTok,
yeah.
but we do a lot of that kind of stuff. And we are featuring more and more back issues out on our website all the time. I think we're at about 12,000 back issues on there. We're about to put a couple more thousand up. We're looking at expanding that. We have in our store. This is what I'll plug, especially if you're coming to Austin, Texas. In our store, we have 250,000 back issues in drawers back of the store.
Yeah, behind Hulk, like that area.
Yes, we have a Hulk.
That feels full size. Have you ever measured? Is that an actual accurate?
10-foot tall Hulk. Yeah, we have fun with him. We dressed him up as Santa. We obviously have new comics. I will say we have one of the largest new comic selections. I will say certainly in Texas, and I say we rival new comics with pretty much anybody in the country. I know of a couple that rival us on the new weekly comics, but overall, from a comic standpoint, we estimated between what we have in the store and what we have in storage, around 2 to 2.5 million comics.
Whoa.
We do all kinds of events all the time, do signings. I always say too, if you're not into comics, you should get some recommendations. If it's not from Austin Books and Comics, go talk to your local comic shop and ask them. Even if you're not into superheroes, go ask them what what's good, what's new, what's out, and get some recommendations. There's some amazing stuff that's out there and amazing stuff that's coming. So
Yeah, and free comic book days coming up. So if you want a low cost investment, just go and pick up a free comic.
yeah, free comic
What day
book
is that
day
again?
is May 3rd.
May 3rd.
So and yeah, so go
Awesome. And
read it.
then yeah, and if any big expensive books come along and you take a photo of them in the new photo box, send me a picture, tag me, because I want to see what's going in the box.
We
What's in the box?
we need to take pictures of the Amazing Fantasy 15s, but whatever reason they got them back, and they wanted to protect them for. They're like they just don't come out of that vault too often. We're going to be putting them online, not to purchase, but more that people can see that we have them.
Cool. Well, yeah, if you end up photographing it in the box, send me behind the scenes pic. I'd love to see that.
We'll do. We'll do.
Awesome, dude. Thanks again, man.
All right.
All right, take care. Have a good night. Update time. Remember our little Finding Nemo gimpy missing nut over here? Well, I found it, and you're not gonna believe where. You know, we got this epoxy floor, so it's nearly impossible to see it. I was literally on the ground, hands and knees, kind of looking to see if I could see it protruding on the floor anywhere. I was like, well, maybe I can get a magnet and just kind of blindly wave it over and see if it picks up the nut. And in that moment, I realized, wait a second, this entire dish is magnetized. Maybe there's a chance that it got sucked onto the bottom of this thing. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Problem solved. Nemo's found and has been restored. We now have a fully functioning and secure light box.